All right, question number 25. So question number 25 says you need to solve the quadratic by factoring, all right? So for this one, guys, we need to try to go ahead and first and make sure everything is on the same side, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do, guys, is subtract 8x. However, there's no 8x to subtract it from. Technically, there's an x in between the x squared and the constant. So I'm going to squeeze it in between there, okay? So this gets canceled. How do I move a positive 7 to the other side? Subtract 7. So would I subtract it from 5x squared, negative 8x, or the 3? From the 3, because that's the like term, okay? So this gets canceled. So the 5x squared, I'm not adding or subtracting anything to it, so I bring it down. Negative 8x, I'm not adding or subtracting anything to it, so I bring it down. 3, I am subtracting something from it. So 3 minus 7 is negative 4, okay? Because the number in front, the leading coefficient, is greater than 1, we're going to have to use a method called slide and divide. So again, we're going to have to use a method called what? Slide and divide. So the first thing you're going to do is circle your leading coefficient, slide it to the end, all right? The x squared that's right here, you're going to bring it down. The negative 8x, you're going to bring it down. The 5 and the 4, you're going to multiply to get negative 20. Now I'm going to factor, so I'm going to write factored form, which is 2 pairs of parentheses, okay? For my x and my x, now I find all the numbers that multiply to give me 20, which is 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, okay? Which pair do you think would add and subtract to give you an 8? Yup, the 2 and the 10. So I put my 2, I put my 10. A negative right here means different signs, all right? When it's positive, it means same signs. But when it's negative, it means that one of them is negative, one is positive. If the 10 was negative and the 2 was positive, what's 10 take away 2? Negative 8, all right? And what did we want? Negative 8. So that means the 10 is negative, the 2 is positive, all right? Because if you did it the other way, all right, this will give you positive 8. Okay, so now you go ahead and divide. So again, we have an x plus 2 and an x minus 10. I'm going to rewrite it just because I don't have much space underneath. Okay, and I'm going to divide by that same number 5. Okay, so I'm dividing each of these by that same number 5, that leading coefficient. So again, this method is called slide and divide, and this is where we divide. The one that you cannot divide, you're going to leave it the same. Okay. Normally, you would take the 5 that's underneath and put it in front of the numerator, in front of the x. But because you're solving, you're not going to do that for this question. If the question asks you for factored form, then yes, you write it as 5x minus 2 and then x minus 2, all right? However, because it did not say to write the factored form, it says just solve, right? The one that you cannot divide, you leave it the same. This one I can divide and I get negative 2. Now I'm going to flip the signs, okay? So your x is going to be equal to positive 2 over 5, and your x is going to be equal to positive 2. So that is why I did not take it and put it in front of the numerator. So again, these are the answers because you're finding x. So again, because we're finding x, all right? Normally, this would be the answer if the question said factored form. But because it did not say factored form, this is not what we are looking for. All right? These are what we're looking for. Okay? So I put those two numbers, guys. So again, I put those two numbers. All right? 2 and 2 over 5, I believe. All right? So, oh, it was negative 2 over 5. Because it disappeared, I didn't even get to see that. All right? So again, it was negative, yep, because it was 2 over 5 would have been a negative 2 over 5. All right? But again, I didn't see that because my thing got all canceled out. But it's okay. I just keep on doing more, guys. All right? Nothing's wrong with getting it incorrect, even if it's small mistakes. Just keep on doing more. All right? So first things first, make everything move to the same side. So minus 3x. All right? Minus 3x from the 7x. Cancel. Minus 4. Minus 4 from your 5. Cancel. So the 3x squared, I'm going to bring it down. 7x minus 3x is positive 4x. All right. And 5 minus 4 is positive 1. Okay? So now I'm going to use slide and divide. That means I'm going to circle my leading coefficient, slide it to the end. All right? The x squared, I'm going to bring it down. The positive 4x, I'm going to bring it down. The 3 and the 1, I'm going to multiply to get 3. Okay? Now I'm going to write the factored form, which is 2 pairs of parentheses, put my x and my x. What are all the numbers that multiply to give me 3? Well, the only pair is 1 and 3. So I put my 1 and my 3. A positive right here means not different, but same signs. Okay? So it's either 2 positives or 2 negatives. All right? If I had 2 negatives, what's 1 take away? Negative 1 minus 3. Negative 4. But we needed a positive 4. So you needed a positive 1 and a positive 3 because that's how you get a positive 4. So a positive and a positive. All right? Now we're going to divide by that same leading coefficient, the same thing we circled, 3, okay? The one that we can divide, we are going to divide it. So we can divide 3 by 3, you get 1. The one you cannot divide, you're going to leave it the same, okay? So now we're going to flip the signs to get our two values of x to be, so again, our two values of x is going to be positive 1 over 3. So, oh, sorry, negative 1 over 3. All right, and a negative 1. Okay, so again, guys, those are your two values of x. All right, so negative 1 and negative 1 over 3. Doesn't matter which one you type in first. Okay, so let's do another one, guys. Let's do another one. All right, so first thing, move everything to the other side. So minus 2x, cancel, plus 4. There's no 4 to add it to, so I'm going to squeeze it right here where the constant is supposed to be. That gets canceled. 3x squared, I bring it down. 10x minus 2x is 8x. And then the 4, I also bring it down because there's nothing to add it to. There's no other like term. All right? So now I circle the leading coefficient, slide it to the end. X squared, I bring down. Positive 8x, I bring down. All right? The 3 and the 4 are multiplied to get 12. Now I'm going to write factored form, which is 2 pairs of parentheses. I put my x and my x because x times x is x squared. All right? Now I find all the numbers that multiply to give me 12, which is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Which pair do you think would add and subtract to give me an 8? Yup, the 2 and the 6. Okay? So we see a positive here. Positive here means same signs. So it's either 2 positives or 2 negatives. All right? So if we had 2 negatives, negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8, but we needed a positive 8. All right, so that's what we needed right here. So a positive 2 and a positive 6, 2 plus 6 is positive 8. So I need 2 positives. All right, now I'm going to divide by the same thing I circled, the same thing that's my leading coefficient, the same thing that's in front, which is that 3. All right, the one you cannot divide, you leave it the same. The one you can divide, you divide it, and I would have gotten 6 divided by 3 is 2. Alright? And now I just flip the signs. So x is equal to negative 2 over 3, and x is equal to negative 2. Alright? So again, guys, just like that. Okay? And again, this one's very systematic, guys. So very, very systematic. So if you can solve it for one, you really can do it for all of them. Alright? Because it's almost the same steps every single time. Alright? So again, move everything to the same side. Minus 7x from the 12x because that's a like term. Minus 2, there's no 2 to subtract it from, so I squeeze it at the end. The 3x squared, I bring it down. 12x minus 7x would be 5x, okay? The negative 2 you bring down because there's nothing to subtract it from. Take the leading coefficient, slide it to the end. X squared you bring down. 5x you bring down. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, okay? So now we're going to write factored form, which is 2 pairs of parentheses. I put my x and my x. All right, what are all the pairs that multiply to give me 6? 1 and 6, 2 and 3, all right? So for this one, both of them works, okay? So you need to use your hints to figure out which one will be the answer. So again, negative means different signs. So that means one of them is positive, one of them is negative, all right? If the if the 1 was positive and the 6 was negative, 1 minus 6 would give me -5. All right, but I needed a +5. If the 6 was positive and the 1 was negative, 6 minus 1 would be +5. All right. So the one that would work would be the 1 and the 6. All right. Specifically, a +6 and a -1. Specifically. All right. The 2 and 3 would not work. And let's see why. We have different signs with a 2 and a 3. So a +2 and a -3. 2 minus 3 is -1. And if I had a +3 and a -2, 3 minus 2 is +1. All right. So that's why 2 and 3 would not work. Only 1 and 6 would be a possibility, specifically a +6 and a -1. All right. So now I'm going to divide by the same thing that we circled in front. That 3. The one I can divide, I am going to divide it, and I get 6 divided by 3 is 2. The one I can't divide, I leave it the same. Okay. So now I flip the signs to get my answers, that x is equal to -2 and x is equal to +1/3. All right. When you're flipping the signs, guys, what you're technically saying is this. You're saying x plus 2 is equal to 0, and you're saying x minus 1/3 is equal to 0. To move this to the other side, you subtract 2, subtract 2. So x is -2, and then you add 1/3. Add 1/3, cancel, so x is 1/3. So that's technically what you're doing to find those answers when you're flipping them. All right. So again, that's the actual mathematical thing you're doing. Okay. So again, -2 and 1/3. Bam. All right. So again, guys, let's keep on practicing, guys. The more we practice, the better we'll get. Okay. So again, make sure everything's on the same side. So I would subtract 5, cancel. So we have 4x squared. 4 minus 5 is -1. All right. So this one looks a little different, but you can still factor it the same. So for this one, you ask yourself, what two same numbers give you 4, 2, and 2? What variables gives you x squared, x, and x? What two same numbers give you 1, 1, and 1? And negative means different signs. Okay? So one's a positive, one's a negative. All right? So again, guys, that's how we do this one. Okay? So for this one, you have to set them equal to 0. So you're going to have 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. And you're going to have 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So I would add 1. So bring down the 2x is equal to 0 plus 1 is 1. Divide by 2. X is equal to 1/2. All right. So you would have to do that for this question. All right. So -1, cancel. 2x is equal to 0 minus 1, -1. Divide by 2. X is equal to -1/2. All right. So again, I won't need to flip for that because I technically flipped when I calculated right here. So this right here is technically me flipping. All right. So again, this right here is technically me flipping, and same thing right here. These are technically me flipping the signs. All right. So again, 1/2 and -1/2. Okay. So again, guys, just like that. So let's try another one, guys, because that one was different and I like that variation. Okay. So for this one, guys, I would add 2x, cancel, add 5, cancel. All right. So we have 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. Take this, slide it to the end. X squared you bring down, -4x you bring down. 4 times -3, -12. Factored form. For my x, what numbers multiplied to give me 12? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Which one of add and subtract to give me 4? 2 and 6. So for my 2 and my 6. Negative right here means different signs. All right, so that means one is positive, one is negative. All right, so let's see which one's positive, which one's negative. If the 2 was positive and the 6 was negative, 2 minus 6 is -4. And what do we want? -4. So it can't be a +6 and a -2 because that would give me a +4. So this one would be out. Okay? So I need a +2 and a -6. Now I divide by 4. The one that you can't divide, guys, you're gonna leave it the same. But in reality, none of them I can't divide, right? So I'm gonna simplify it, okay? Both 2 and 4 are divisible by 2, all right? And both 6 and 4 are both also divisible by 2, okay? So this will be x 2 divided by 2, positive 1 over 4 divided by 2, 2. And this will be x negative 6 divided by 2, negative 3 over 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Okay? So again, I could not divide both of them, so I had to simplify what I could. Okay? Now I'm going to flip the sides. Okay? So my x's would be negative 1 half and positive 3 over 2. All right? So again, guys, just like that. Okay? So positive 3 over 2 and negative 1 half. All right. So again, guys, just like that. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Okay. So all the other questions are the exact same.